This and every episode of REKT Podcast is brought to you by Beaksy Exchange, an upcoming cryptocurrency exchange built in collaboration with OneMarket Data. Beaksy is bringing legacy finance speed, power, and sophistication to crypto for the first time. With 225,000 transactions per second per pair, comparable to NASDAQ, 15 order types on day one, with 25 order types on full rollout, and a dedicated customer support team, Beaksy is setting itself apart from the competition. Check out Beaksy today at Beaksy.com and pre-register today at Beaksy.com/registration to get your free Beaksy Exchange tokens. That's Beaksy.com, BEAXY.com.
This is Appo Agbamu with the Ahrvo Project, REKT.
Hello and welcome to REKT Podcast. I am Bunchu alongside my esteemed colleague and co-host, Crypto Chamber. Chamber, how are you?
Doing pretty good tonight. We have a guest on that I'm very excited to have a little challenge with at the end. I'm pretty pumped. We had a little pre-podcast meeting on some of his non-crypto likes, and I think we're going to have some fun at the end of the show.
Well, you certainly are, because this is right up your alley. So
yeah, I was pretty excited. I'm glad that he accepted the challenge, so we'll have
Absolutely.
some fun.
Awesome. And joining us today from the Ahrvo Project is the CEO and founder, Appo Agbamu. How are you, man?
I'm great, man. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Absolutely. We're excited to chat here. So first, I need to tell a little story because I think this is weird, and you guys can fucking tell me if this is weird. So, I am traveling for work, and I'm in Buffalo, New York. I repeat, just in case I disappeared this evening, I am in Buffalo, New York at the Hampton Inn, and I'm driving in, and I get a notification on my LinkedIn, and it says, I'll change their name here just not to, in case they're a listener of the show. It says that Kara Smith has viewed your profile. So I click on it, and I'm like, oh, I don't know who this person is. There's no picture. There's no nothing. And I click on it, and then I was like, I don't recognize this person. So I didn't think anything of it. I come to check into my hotel, and I'm checking in, and I'm talking to the front desk person, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I catch a sign that says, manager on duty is Kara Smith. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, she looked me up on LinkedIn before I arrived at the hotel, and I thought that was like the creepiest thing ever. Am I like off base here?
So what you're saying is the manager of this hotel,
yes,
before you got to the hotel,
yes,
looked you up on LinkedIn?
Yes.
And you just happened to catch the name on LinkedIn? I just happened to notice
that it was the name, because I thought the whole thing was kind of weird.
I mean, that's too kind of crazy, because it's crazy, that this person is doing that. But it's also crazy that you caught it. I mean, that is easily.
Because she knows that you're going to end up seeing that someone saw you on LinkedIn. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Like, my thought is maybe she like Googled me, and like that was the first thing that came up is my LinkedIn, and she clicked on that. But otherwise, it's like, why would you? First of all, why would you choose LinkedIn? Because I can see that. and two, like, why are you doing that in the first place? Is that not a weird thing? Am I going to get murdered tonight or what?
Yeah, you're definitely getting
protocol in Buffalo.
Maybe. I mean, Buffalo is Buffalo.
Man, I had a tweet today that said, because Buffalo is Buffalo, and I'm sorry for anybody who listens that is out in Buffalo, but I said, hey Siri, take me to Buffalo. And then I responded, Siri, are you sure? If I really want to come out to Buffalo. But anyway, that's my little thing. So I need to tell everybody where I am in case I don't.
You're on the
make it
record at
past.
least now.
Yeah, right, exactly. So anyway, let's get into it here. So Appo, before we get started on the project and diving into that,
Absolutely.
tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I guess let's see how far back I want to go. I'm actually from New York. I was actually born in the Bronx.
He's like, I'm from Buffalo.
Yeah. Oh shit.
No, I was born in the Bronx, but raised in Minneapolis. Went to school at UMD. Go Bulldogs! I don't know if you guys are hockey fans, but we just won 2 years in a row.
No big deal.
You won the Frozen Four?
No, we won the national championship.
Yeah, Woo! So that was I'm a Penn Stater, and so we weren't in it this year, but we won the Big Ten championship.
How am I the only Canadian on this show, and I'm the only one that doesn't like hockey right now?
I don't know, man. You're weird.
So went to UMD, went to school for accounting and economics, and initially was just going to take the, traditional finance route, do like investment banking or work in a financial firm. I actually ended up working at a bulge bracket firm for 2 years right out of college. But as I was working there, I was simultaneously working on the Ahrvo Project. And then, as soon as we were going to go live, you got to run it through compliance. And I got the either you work here or you do your startup spiel, and I ended up jumping ship, and I think I made the right decision.
That's cool. So tell us about the Ahrvo Project. What is it? Where did the idea come from? Start there.
Absolutely. So like every startup or every, business, it usually starts from a problem. And, growing up, I was kind of known as the stock guy, and my friends would always ask me about stock questions and things of that nature. What stocks are you buying? How are you making these decisions? And, those kind of questions continued to follow me, into college and out of college. But I had an internship that I did while I was in college where we used what are known as multi-factor ranking systems. And essentially, it allows you to, look at certain variables that are known to drive stock performance, like quality, momentum, value, and growth. And then there's obviously sub-factors that go under that. So you're looking at price to earnings, price to book, price to sales, under value, for instance. So you're looking at, different momentum indicators like RSI or MACD, and RSI, for people that aren't familiar with the term, is relative strength indicator. And you're looking at variables like that. So essentially what it allows you to do, it allows you to rank a universe of stocks. Say, for instance, you're looking at a benchmark like the S&P 500. You can rank all of those stocks under the same criteria, and what you do is you focus on the top-ranked stocks because that's where your high-value type of names are. So when you're looking at the stock market, you're looking at over 5,000 stocks. I mean, you almost have as much ETFs as you do stocks now because we rank stocks and ETFs, but we look at essentially the same variables. The idea of Ahrvo really came from that and from the continuous question of, how do I identify stocks? Because the issue is that most people either don't have the time to do the research on the stocks and listen to the earnings call and read the reports, or they just don't have the knowledge, or a combination of the two. So the mission with Ahrvo was really to create a platform where users can find high-quality stock ideas in a fraction of the time, and it enables people. Our mission is really to enable people to make profitable investment decisions in a fraction of the time. So with the project, so Ahrvo was out for a year, for about 15 months before, we launched the AhrvoDex project. And the AhrvoDex project is really a vertical integration of the business. So right now we partner with, different brokerage firms to offer our users trading capabilities within the app. But some of the same issues that I noticed as I was a portfolio manager associate, at the bank that I mentioned, we're still facing users, right? So you have the centralized nature, you have lack of transparency, and a lot of those variables that, blockchain really helps alleviate. So the AhrvoDex project is really a vertical integration of the business. So Ahrvo will ultimately run on AhrvoDex. We'll allow people to, and then the thought is really that it's a combination of the two, right? So you have a platform where people can find high caliber investment ideas and avoid the bad ones. And then they can also trade in a decentralized and transparent manner and get instant settlement and instant execution on their trades.
That's pretty awesome. So describe, I'm kind of lost with the vertical integration idea. So how does that enable the project to, succeed further? Absolutely.
So if you look at it, right, so right now, as I mentioned, we partner with brokerage firms. So for instance, one of the firms we partner with is a firm called Tradier. But so we have to outsource that trading capability, right? So that's a cost that we take on for our users, and our users get unlimited trading once they sign up for, Tradier through our platform. So the thought is that by creating Ahrvo DEX, and Ahrvo DEX, there's an extra E there because the DEX stands for Decentralized Equity Exchange. So by creating Ahrvo DEX, we'll essentially be running on our own brokerage platform, right? So we're in the process of becoming a broker and doing all those things. So vertically integrating the business in the sense that not only do we provide people with the scores and the smart equity price targets, but we also allow people to trade in a transparent manner because the settlement happens on chain, the order matching happens on chain. So there's a lot of execution. I mean, everything is transparent in terms of pricing execution. So for instance, right now, if you were to trade through, any broker, really, you take the price that they give you, right? I mean, obviously you can see what it's trading at, but you're not necessarily sure that you're getting the, the right price or the most optimal. I think that's probably a better word, the most optimal pricing execution. But when you have an on-chain order matching engine, you can see exactly what the best price was at that time, and you can see whether you got filled at the best price. So that's really what we're trying to do is that, not only are we trying to enable people to make smarter investment decisions, but we're also trying to enable people to, trying to restore faith back in the essentially the brokerage community, because there is no platform like Ahrvo DEX out there. There's really no decentralized stock exchanges, if you will. Everything is centralized in central depositories, and power is really consolidated among the big players in the industry.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting concept because, I think, being in crypto, we kind of understand that the power of decentralization and what it's good for, and that's definitely a avenue that has, all centralization, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, it's all centralized.
Yeah, so that's a pretty cool concept there. So. Talk a little bit about the social aspect here. So I see you have a area called quantitative social trading. Talk a little bit about the social aspect there.
Yeah, I think social trading is a big. I'm sure you guys have heard of like StockTwits and other social trading apps. It's just really creating an environment where people can dialogue. Talk about different trading ideas, talk about different trading strategies, and I think it really creates a holistic platform where people don't feel siloed off, right? It's not like I just create my account and I just trade based on my own, information or whatever it may be. But you really create a community among the various Ahrvo users where people can dialogue. We have an interesting timeline where instead of, your typical timeline where you see, change in price, you see change in rank. So while you're scrolling through your timeline of people you follow or influencers or whatever it may be, you can find ideas in that process because you can see, okay, Apple's up 18, over the last day because our ranks update daily. So based on that, someone could click on Apple's profile and immediately, feel inclined to make an investment because there is that change in rank or that delta that's positive. Or, it could be the completely opposite where you see a change in rank to the downside. Another interesting component of our quantitative social community, if you will, is we have a fantasy investing league where users can compete and win cash prizes in the main league, but then they can also create their own league that's either public or private and invite family and friends. And again, in this league, it's really different from any other simulator or fantasy stock league in the sense that we show you the change in rank. So you kind of have a helping hand in terms of figuring out which stocks is best to buy. So for instance, if you were to go on, like Yahoo Finance or Investopedia, not to name drop or anything like that, but those fantasy investing leagues, you kind of have to have an idea of what stocks you want to buy in those leagues ahead of time, or do some searching in terms of different portfolios or whatever it may be. But the whole, inspiration behind Ahrvo is to streamline the decision-making process, and the ranks and change in ranks help users do that. So that's really the quantitative social investing component.
Yeah, I think the fantasy aspect is pretty cool as well. I, for one, am big into not only fantasy sports, but, we've had the guys from Hero on. I'm a Hero addict, so any kind of the social gamification of this stuff, I think, is pretty interesting. Chamber, we're going to have to go head-to-head here, I think.
100%. This reminds me of when I was a kid. I was like maybe a sophomore in high school. And, I'm a little older, maybe a little, I don't know how old Appo is, but we'll assume I'm older than everybody here. It was the early days of the internet. And one of the first games I remember playing online was it was kind of like this, where it was like a stock fantasy league, but the stocks you were buying were professional athletes. So you would buy cool. It was awesome. So it would be like their stock performance would be dependent on their daily performance, like in the game from the previous evening. So you could pick up like hockey players, football players, didn't matter. It was a very cool game. I've gone perusing a little bit to try and find something similar, but I've never found that ever again.
Yeah, and the nice thing with the fantasy component too is that it gives those people who aren't comfortable putting real money to work an opportunity to get an idea of, how the market dynamics works, because everything in the app is essentially real time from an information and pricing standpoint. So you're getting real time prices, you're getting real time news, you get all the Wall Street information in terms of analyst recommendation, analyst price targets, and things of that nature. So it's really kind of a holistic platform in the sense that, before you do transition to opening an account of your own and doing equity trading, you can really get to, you can win some cash prizes and free memberships and things of that nature using, the fantasy component of the application.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll have to get a REKT podcast league going for our Twitter, or not our Twitter, our Telegram group. And it's actually, when you were talking about that and creating the community for the trading and stuff, I think that holds so true with. Think about what we do on Twitter, right? You have people posting charts and, financial advice, if you will. And people follow those and create communities and split off into, separate telegrams or groups and things like that. And I think, so that social aspect is definitely attractive. And I think, like you said, otherwise you're kind of trading and doing this on an island. So whenever you can kind of take some, community aspect to it, I think is super important as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then I'm looking at here the Ahrvo scores. So, basically that's how they're ranked, right? So talk a little bit about, what goes into those scores to, kind of change their ranks either day by day or other than that, however often they change, other than maybe just price performance.
Right. So for instance, as I mentioned, there's four main variables that we look at. It's momentum, it's quality, it's value, and then it's growth. So under growth, for instance, right, you're looking at change in revenue, you're looking at change in earnings, you're looking at earnings surprise. So that would be like, those are some of the variables. So in total, there's four main variables, and then there's about 48 sub-variables we look at, and then those sub-variables are grouped. So for instance, under quality, you would look at like the current ratio. You would look at inventory turnover. You would look at asset turnover. Under value, you would look at price to earnings. You look at price to sales. You look at price to book. Under what was the other? I'm blanking here. Under momentum, for instance, you look at some of those other variables I mentioned. So and then those main variables, the four main variables that I mentioned, momentum, value, quality, and growth, are then weighted based on which one has a higher impact on the ultimate, so we really don't silo things off by industry, just because obviously each industry is going to have its own different characteristics. But we look at the entire universe. So the universe that we look at is the Russell 3000. So based on those, the scores update daily. And then the way it works is that the higher the Ahrvo score, the greater the probability for outperformance. So if you look at, our scores over the last decade, and we actually work with a firm called EQM Capital to get these built, because obviously, it's really all about the quality of the data, the quality of the ingredients to ultimately make a good model. So if you look at it, so 0 through 20, we consider strong sell. 20 through 40, we consider sell. 40 through 60, we consider hold. 60 through 80, we consider buy. And then our 80s through 100, we consider strong buy. So if you look at our model, if you were to run and obviously back test, they have their limitations. I just want to put that out there already. But, and our model runs in real time. So we can rebalance the factors. So say, for instance, like at the end of the year last year, momentum was getting its ass kicked. It just wasn't working. So we took weight off of momentum and added it to value, and our model starts to outperform. So we have the ability to rebalance the factors as well based on what we're seeing. So we'll do attribution analysis to see what is actually driving the market, on a quarterly basis. And we rebalance the factors on a quarterly basis. We didn't rebalance them last quarter because right now we're even weighted. So 25% momentum and 25% across the other three variables. And that really allows people, so for instance, you clicked on, let's just talk about Tesla. If you were to go inside Tesla's profile, you would see that there's a main Ahrvo score that we give people, but then there's also, we break down, the other 4 subscores so people can see those other subscores, and we also give people the change in those scores. So you can see the type of changes happen in those scores on a daily basis. So for instance, if a stock's down 10%, you can automatically assume that the momentum score is going to be down, may not be down 10%, but it'll be down. But then that'll obviously make the value score go up, right? Because the price is cheaper on a price to book, on a price to sales ratio, and things of that nature. So that's really kind of our approach, is that it's kind of a discovery tool. And then we also compare each company to its industry. So you can see how, for instance, Tesla compares to Ford or GM, right? So Ford's obviously going to have a much higher value score than a Tesla, for instance. So it's really kind of a neat tool in the sense that you can compare stocks to their industry, you can compare it to their competitors, and then you can also compare it to the entire universe, since everyone's essentially on the same plane.
That's super interesting. So, obviously the whole goal anytime you're in the market is to outperform. And
Absolutely.
I think that's you're making it easy to identify potential outperformers.
Yep. And the nice thing about our model is it's very monotonic. So our 0 through 20s underperform our 40s, our 0 through 20s underperform our 20 through 40s. Our 20 through 40s underperform our 40 through 60s. Our 40 through 60s underperform our 60 through 80s, and so on and so forth. So really, if you wanted to build a portfolio of long shorts, you could build, and obviously you could go in and do more due diligence if you wanted to, but just based on the scores themselves, you could actually build a long short portfolio if you wanted to, and you'd probably do pretty well because of the way that the scores work, right? Like, so if you have a model where your 0 through 20s sometimes outperform your 60 through 80s, then it's really hard to decipher which, do I take this, the stock that's ranked 25, or do I take this one that's ranked 65, right? Sure. But in our case, the model is very monotonic in the sense that, the different groups actually perform how they're supposed to based on their rankings. So it's nice in that respect.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Chamber, don't you wish you had something like that now, where you can where you could identify where you might outperform versus underperform?
Yeah, in many facets of my life.
Not just financially.
That's right.
Anyway, that's cool. So, Chamber, you have any questions before I move on to some other stuff?
No, I was just more curious on, and I'm sorry if I'm treading on you a bunch, but what's coming next for the project?
A lot of things are coming next. I mean, obviously first and foremost, it's just building out. So Ahrvo will continue to develop. I mean, we have some new features that are coming out. So right now we also rank themes. We rank themes and we rank ETFs. So for instance, we rank about 300 themes in total. but on the app, we only show users about 50. So we'll be rolling out at least 50 more themes over the coming month. So for instance, if you were to go in and you were to go to aerospace and defense, you could see what that industry is ranked. So you could see what the value score of the industry is, the growth score of the industry, and the other variables that I mentioned, and then you can see what the overall score is. But the neat thing about that is that you can also sort all of the companies within that industry by value, growth, momentum. So say, for instance, you like aerospace and defense, but you want to focus on the value stocks within that space. You could click on the theme and then sort it by value, or sort it by growth, or sort it by momentum, or sort it by quality, in order to find stocks within that industry or that theme that meet your criteria as an investor. And then on the ETF side of things, we rank ETFs by the same variables, but then we also go a little bit deeper. We give information on the type of fees that you pay on the ETF, who's the custodian of the ETF. We break down sector percentages, so 20% tech, 15% financials. We break down industry, we break down sub-industry, and we even break down currency in case the ETF is an international ETF. So it's kind of, and then going forward, we look to build that out even more. And start ranking cryptocurrencies as well, and rank options as well. Options will come before cryptocurrency. But I think in the crypto space, there's not a lot of quality data, and I mean that in the respect of
no, you're correct. There isn't.
I mean, there's not a lot of quality data, especially if you're comparing it to something like the stock market or the options market.
You take what happened to VSV today, yesterday. Holy, like how are you supposed to predict that one?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, and then you look at the article that says that like 95% of crypto volume is fraudulent. I'm not, and then
right.
So you can't, and again, that's why I'm always, kind of skeptical when I see a lot of, these crypto ranking models coming out, because every model is contingent on the quality of the model. If you want it to be a robust model, is really going to be contingent on the quality of data that goes into the model.
Like a garbage in, garbage out scenario.
Exactly, absolutely. So if you're putting in information in your model that is biased or skewed a certain way, then your results are ultimately going to be skewed. And then with these models, a lot of issues that people have is that they look at the absolute number, but then you have an autocorrelation issue that comes into play, because most of this data starts at the same central point, and then obviously as it goes out, because it's time series data, it continues to be correlated. Really what you want to be looking at is you want to be looking at the change in that rank or whatever it may be, because that's what's going to be able to let how the quality of the ultimate score that you give. So, really, we're working on building out a model for crypto, but it's really going to come down to the quality of the data, and we won't put out a model until we can get out quality data in terms of the different aspects that we believe ultimately drive crypto prices.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good point. So obviously, that's the crux, right, of figuring out so in your opinion, what, for crypto specifically, what are the best, kind of indicators based on what we currently have available to us? Just that you've seen, because you've probably started working on something.
Yeah. So, for instance, like the economic. So, for instance, I think this is probably, out of all the variables, because price is, it's so volatile, where it's like you could use that, but you discount it to some degree because there's manipulation. In Bitcoin SV's price, they got delisted, right? So that would, you have some fluctuation there. But I think the biggest one is the application of the ultimate market. So when you're looking at a crypto project, and I think this is important for the crypto community in general, and there's kind of that we versus them mentality, I think, so it's, I think it ultimately comes down to how big of an application does it have in terms of integrating actually into the everyday lives of users. So like people didn't start using the internet because they thought that the protocol was cool, right? They used it because it made their life easier. It made, for instance, it made finding books easier at first. Now it's finding everything else that you want to find. So when you're looking at crypto projects that I think will ultimately be successful, it's looking at what's the ease of adoption, right? And that's one thing that we really took into consideration with Ahrvo DEX which is why we're not a tokenized platform per se. And I think that's what ultimately will make Ahrvo DEX scale quicker and easier to adopt, is that people have the traditional brokerage experience. You're trading traditional equities. You're not trading a tokenized equity, right? So for instance, we can onboard traditional equity assets. So from Fidelity, from TD Ameritrade, from Tradier, from, from Robinhood, we can onboard those assets. But a tokenized platform couldn't do that because they're not trading traditional assets. They're creating an equity market on their own blockchain or their own platform, right? So someone who wants to create an account with that platform has to start from zero, or they have to sell traditional assets and then, use that money to fund their adoption of this new platform. Where in our case, you don't have to do that. You can transfer assets traditionally, and then we essentially have a credit system because Ahrvo DEX is a fork of Stellar blockchain. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with it, but there's an anchor system that it essentially works in an anchor way where everything that is in the traditional person's brokerage account is also reflected in a digital wallet. And that's what they use to transact on our blockchain. So say, for instance, you've got Jim who's got $25,000 in cash and he's got 200 shares of Apple. Well, that is actually 200 shares of Apple, not a tokenized representation of what Apple stock is. So someone who, say for instance, was at Fidelity could easily transfer to our platform because we're within the ACAT system. The ACAT system is a system that allows brokers to transfer assets with it, allows users to transfer assets between brokers when they're trading accounts. So when going back to your original question and ease of adoption with our platform, if you want to trade equities, is going to be easy because if you have a traditional broker account, you can easily transfer your account over to us. You just have what's essentially in your account reflected digitally in credits, and then you use that to transact. So say, for instance, in the case of Jim wants to buy 5,000 stocks of Amazon. Jim will buy 5,000 stocks of Amazon. The settlement will happen on-chain, and everything that I just meant, settlement and order matching will happen on-chain. And then as soon as that transaction settles, we have a real-time accounting system that's integrated with the network that also changes the value in Jim's actual brokerage account. You see what I'm saying? So in terms of use case, I think that's really what is what you have to look at for a lot of blockchain projects. Now, how you quantify that is a whole other thing, right? How do you quantify that and put it in a model? And that's kind of the process that we're in now, because ultimately we believe that's the biggest driver of what's going to be, that's ultimately the biggest driver of what makes a successful crypto project. And then obviously supply of the coin and flow, and things of that nature, So obviously, obviously it's not one size, it's not one size fits all, but a project that has 1 billion coin would be more attractive to an investor than a project that had 100 billion in coin, right? So it's some of those variables, but I think the biggest one is obviously ease of adoption. And ultimately making it easier for your everyday person who may not be a cryptocurrency or a blockchain enthusiast or specialist. How do you make this easy for them to use? And ultimately, it's aligning it with what they're traditionally used to is, I think, what separates successful crypto projects, and ultimately what separates Ahrvo DEX from other tokenized platforms.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the really cool thing is that you can integrate with traditional brokerage accounts, and that's super easy to use, it sounds like. So so now you will have a native token on the platform, correct?
Absolutely. So for our ICO, we're using ERC20 just because of the compatibility with other tokens, the healthy community around it, and just the platform in general. But ultimately, there will be a native Ahrvo coin that is interchangeable one for one with that ERC20 once the platform goes live, and then that token will be the fundamental token for the platform on a go-forward basis.
And that'll be on the Stellar network?
Yes, correct. Ahrvo DEX is going to be a private blockchain. It's going to be a fork of Stellar.
Sorry, yes.
Yep.
the token sale is going to happen on Ethereum with ERC20, and then it will get 1-for-1 swapped on the back end after that, correct?
Absolutely.
Got it. So that's pretty interesting. So now talk about what the benefits of that token, what the use will be on the platform.
Yeah, there's a lot of different use cases. For instance, and this is kind of a unique thing about the platform as well, is that people will get rewarded for trading on our platform. So, you'll get a percentage value of whatever your ultimate, so say for instance, I'm just speaking hypothetically right now, but say you have a $10,000 trade, you'd get $10 in Ahrvo coin for trading. So there's a reward component to it. You can use it for margin. You can use it for collateral. You can use it for paying your subscription for the Ahrvo platform. From a B2B perspective, businesses can also use it for those same use cases. You can use it for staking, and then you can use it. You can use it as a means of transacting within the ecosystem. So those are some of the more general use cases, and then obviously, as we build out the platform, we'll find more applications for it on a go-forward basis.
That's very cool. So talk about when your ICO begins, what the token sale is going to look like, all that.
So our private sale begins May 1st, and it goes from May 1st until June 15th. And then we have a pre-sale that goes from June 15th until the end of the month. And then we have the first round of our public sale goes from July 1st until the end of July, and then the second round of our public sale goes from the beginning of August into the end of August. And then for our pre-sale, the discount is 25% on the tokens. For our private sale, the discount is 25% on the tokens. For our pre-sale, it's 15 to 20% discount. For the first round of our public sale, it's 5 to 10% discount, and then for the final round, it's 0 to 5%. So there's 500 million Ahrvo coins in total, but for the pre-sale, for the entire ICO component of it, we're offering 200 million of the coins, or 40%, and then 25% is being allocated to ecosystem rewards. And then for business development, because part of what's going to make the network grow is partnerships with other brokers. So 90% of brokers are categorized as small brokers. And that number is actually, and so that there's about 3,800 brokers that are categorized as small brokers. So that's really going to be our target market in terms of building out the liquidity within the network, because every broker you onboard adds liquidity to the network, and then you can trade on a peer-to-peer basis. So 15% of our tokens are reserved for business development or quote-unquote partnerships. Another 15% goes to employees, and then the rest is for our ongoing referral program, our token advisors, and then our bounty program. So that's really kind of how the distribution of the tokens will work. But ultimately, only 40% will be for sale in the initial process.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about what's coming down for the roadmap for the rest of this year and the beginning of next year.
Absolutely. So we have, outside of the super technical components, we're going to register to become a broker starting in August. We're filing our second utility patent, in November. Ahrvo, our desktop version, will be coming out in the first quarter of 2020. So right now we're only available on iOS and Android, but we've listened to the feedback of our users, and there's really a need for a desktop version. And actually, personally, I'd like a desktop version because sometimes you just don't want to. You need more of a bigger screen, and then that'll also enable us to offer some different information that's displayed better on a desktop than it is on a phone. And then the neat part of the network is that we also have a network accelerator. So our network accelerator will launch in 2020 as well. And then the iOS and Android version 3.0 will launch in the third quarter of 2020. And the 3.0 version is where I mentioned is where we're going to try to start adding in, the options. The options model is fairly robust already. We're just doing some more testing on it before we ultimately launch it. So that'll be out in the 3.0 version. And then we'll launch a beta version of our crypto model as well in the third quarter of 2020. Once we work out some of the kinks in terms of the quality of the data and things of that nature. And then the goal is to have the AhrvoDex testnet or beta launch also in the third quarter of 2020, with the ultimate platform being launched, depending on how the testing goes, in the first or second quarter of 2021.
Very cool. So I just had one question. Back to the network incubator launch. Can you just talk about what that is a little bit?
Yeah. So the real inspiration behind the network incubator is that so Ahrvo is a consortium blockchain / private blockchain. It's not public in the sense that users require some degree of anonymity when they're trading equities. Like, you don't want everybody, like, for instance, like with Ethereum, you can essentially track people's transactions down to a T if you know what their public key is. So there's some anonymity that's needed with the Ahrvo blockchain or with the AhrvoDex platform. So the network incubator is really about investing in companies that can push the network forward. So, for instance, one thing that we're really, or one of the inspirations about building AhrvoDex is giving access to U.S. equity markets to foreign investors, right? So in this case, either through partnership or through investment in the incubator, say, for instance, there was a blockchain project that was in the FX space. We could bring them on, and now users on our platform, so say that FX, and again, I'm speaking hypothetically, but say that FX provider is now integrated on our blockchain as an anchor. So they're the FX anchor of our blockchain. Someone who's, say, for instance, lives in Japan and has yen can convert their yen to dollars, trade U.S. equities, and then when they want to sell, they can sell in U.S. and then convert it right back to Japanese yen. So that's really kind of the thought, is that we're going to be adding on different financial services company, because really ultimately what we're trying to build is we're trying to build a decentralized financial system. So we'll be looking at, FX companies, insurance companies that can add value to the blockchain, and then, help facilitate ultimately, the smooth, different capability or different aspects of people's financial lives. So, for instance, FX is one, insurance is one, real estate is one. So any type of platform that we believe, again, our focus is on financial firms, any type of blockchain project that we think can help move the ecosystem forward in that respect is what we'll be investing into. And then from an incubator standpoint, that allows us to really work with them intimately. And, not only in respects of development, but in terms of marketing the project, in terms of thinking through the tokenomics of the project and all those other variables that ultimately lead to a successful project down the road. Because I think, the problem that some projects has run into is that they kind of try to run before they can walk. And they don't have a true understanding of what it's going to take to be able to build something successful in the space. So by building an incubator, and again, it goes back to the whole community thing that we try to build out in the Ahrvo platform. That same type of community aspect is what we want to build out in our incubator, because by having a community where you can collaborate with people who've done successful projects, you can have that type of mentorship, you can have that type of development capacity there for you, then you're less likely to make errors that could ultimately lead to, not your downfall. I don't want to be too dramatic, but
your
that could ultimately
doom.
like, REKT.
Right, yes.
You know what I mean? But ultimately, you end up in a situation where at least people are thinking about these things ahead of time. So then, if they're top of mind, then you're less likely to make those mistakes before it's too late. And another aspect of the incubator is looking at things. And this is something that some projects don't take into consideration, is looking at the legal aspects of things. Are you a utility token? Are you a security token? Even if you're not a utility token, you're better off in some cases filing the REKT with the SEC, because at least you're covered in that respect. So, we're really going to be focusing on the holistic aspect when we bring these companies on. So we're going to be looking at the legal perspective, the tax perspective, you know what I mean? Because, again, another issue some projects run into is, okay, well, do you actually want to create your coin before you ICO, or do you want to create it after? You know what I mean? So all of those questions are important questions, but if you don't have the guidance, and again, guidance is expensive in some cases, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And so some people try to cut corners in that respect. But when you cut corners, ultimately, when the SEC comes knocking or whatever regulatory body comes knocking, you're going to have to answer. So with the network incubator, it's really an environment where those questions can be asked ahead of time so that projects ultimately launch successfully.
That's awesome. So I think we've covered pretty extensively. Is there anything that you think we missed that you want to make sure we touch on?
No, I'm just ready to get after your boy and
All right, here we go. But before we get there, I will say I downloaded the app, the iPhone app, and the user interface is pretty awesome too. So very easy to use. So it's definitely exciting. So,
and it's actually got a Tinder inspiration to it. I'm not a Tinder guy per se myself.
It's funny. It's all swipe. It's
yeah, exactly. So if you like the company, you swipe right. And this is a nice thing about it too, is that, and actually maybe there was one more thing I wanted to mention. So when you swipe right, it goes into, initially when a user comes in, we give them about 80 stocks to swipe through so we can get an idea of what kind of stocks they like.
They're into, yeah.
Exactly, whether they like momentum names that are energy, whether they like value names that are utilities, whether they like growth names that are financials or whatever it may be. So once we build that profile, our algorithm works every time you swipe, right? So we'll start showing you stocks that are more that you're more likely to like, just like if you swipe right on a girl or a guy or whatever. Tinder builds out a profile of people that you potentially like. So in that respect, we do that. But the neat thing about Ahrvo is that we actually group the stocks for the user. So a user may not know the different sectors of the economy. So when you swipe right on Goldman Sachs, it goes into your financial bucket. When you swipe right on, Netflix, it goes into your consumer discretionary bucket. When you swipe right on Amazon, it goes into consumer discretionary bucket. So you build out your watch list in a way where it's actually segmented by the different sectors, and then you can see how different stocks rank within those sectors.
Yeah, this is really cool. I can tell you right now that I'm going to tell my brother about this because he would be all over this. So shout out BTC Be Real. He'll be all over it.
That's your brother?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my brother.
That's awesome.
That's my brother in real life. All right, so before we get to the fun here, just tell us where people can find Ahrvo, either website, token sale, community, all of the above.
Absolutely. So you can find us, if you want to download the app on iOS or Android, you can just go to ahrvo.com, and Ahrvo is spelled AHRVO. And then all the token information and everything related to the ICO can be found at ahrvo.io. If you want to find us on Telegram, we have a booming Telegram community. You can find us just at Ahrvo. And then same thing on Twitter, you can find us at Ahrvo app. And then on Facebook, you can find us at Ahrvo Investing app. And those are our main channels that we use, but I highly recommend that you get in the Telegram community. We actually have an airdrop going on right now. So if you want some free RVO coin, you got some easy tasks that you can do, and you can already get on board with the program.
Sweet. That's cool. I'm going to jump into the Telegram right now. And awesome. So let's get to the fun. We wouldn't be REKT Podcast if we didn't have a good time. So we have Chamber, who is our Canadian who doesn't like hockey, but is a very big LA Lakers fan, and we did a little research on Appo here and found out that he is also a Lakers fan. So we are going to get smart on Lakers trivia here. So this is called the Ultimate Lakers Quiz. So let's see how that fares for us here. Chamber, what do you think here? You think you're going to get all these right?
I mean, I feel like I should get most of them right.
All right. Well, let's see.
I feel pretty good, but I don't know. The confidence from Appo is really, I think it's getting to me. It's getting in my head.
All right, here we go. This. How do you want to do this? You want me to? Because there are multiple choice here.
Right. So I would say, ask the question, and then
here's what I'm
go
gonna do.
guest first
Yeah.
for the first question. Then I answer.
and then we'll alternate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay,
can stagger
you
it.
keep the score over there.
Okay, I'll keep
I'm
score.
not sure I trust you to do that.
No,
All right.
I'm not trusting.
How many NBA championships have the Lakers won? And I'll give you the multiple choice here, Appo. Is it 16, 14, 20, or 17?
16.
Also 16.
Both of you say 16. 16 is the correct answer. I would have guessed 17, and I would have been wrong.
That's the Boston Celtics.
That's what I realize that now. Okay. Now, Chamber, you get the first guess here.
Yeah.
What city did the Lakers first start in? Is it Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Sacramento, San Diego?
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
That is correct. Wow, we're 2 for 2 here. We might be
I got the vintage blue Minneapolis Lakers
What?
jersey. Actually.
Nice. Number 8?
That's sick.
Got the Kareem.
Ooh.
I wanted to get the Lonzo Ball one.
You're really getting in my head right now.
You're going to beat him, and he's going to feel so bad.
I know.
Okay, here we go. What happened here? Hold on. I lost my spot. Sorry. Okay, question number 3 here. Who was the tallest player in Lakers history? Is it Chuck Nevitt, Shaquille O'Neal, Wilt Chamberlain, or Kareem? And who's going first? Appo's going first.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Wilt.
I'll go with Kareem.
Okay. The answer is neither. It is Chuck Nevitt.
I didn't know how tall Chuck Nevitt was. I knew Kareem was 7'3", and I'm like, that's as tall as a human should be able to get.
Chuck Nevitt.
Unless you're Taco Fall.
How tall was Chuck Nevitt?
Yeah, he must be 7'4".
It didn't tell us. It didn't tell me when I clicked it. So
That's tall. We'll look it up.
Yeah.
All right. So we are tied still going into question 4, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Chamber, you're up first on this answer. How many conference titles do the Lakers have? Is it 43, 30, 31, or 32?
Fudge. Can you one more time, sorry?
43, 30, 31, or 32?
30.
Appo?
Can you say those numbers again?
43, 30, 31, or 32?
43 sounds way too high.
Yeah, that's a lot, right?
Well, I figure that's why they gave you like 30, 31, 32.
He said 30, right?
I did say
Yeah.
30, yeah.
I'll go with 31.
Ooh,
Okay.
the Price is Right me.
So, Chamber, the answer is 31.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so we have a 3-2 score.
3-2 for Appo, yep.
32.
Okay, I got to decide how far we're going. You guys are doing good here. So we're on question 5. We'll go to 10. All right. Well, this is objective. I don't know if I'm counting this question. Who is the most hated Laker? That's not a great
Out of the
question.
which give me the 4. I'll tell you who the most hated is.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I could figure this one out too. It's the answers are Luke Walton, Dwight Howard, Vlade Divac, and AC Green.
Dwight
I was
Howard.
gonna.
I mean, I would
I'd probably go with
Howard.
Dwight too.
Yeah, 100% it's Dwight.
I'm not
Kwame
counting
Brown.
This. I'm not.
I
I'm
love
not
Kwame.
counting this question though.
Kwame gave
this
us
question does not count. It is objective.
That's a real Laker question, though.
but it is Dwight Howard, so you can give yourself both a point.
Yeah, Dwight
okay.
was pretty hated in his time there.
Oh,
Yeah, he was definitely. Question number 6. How many rings does Kobe have? So it
that's
is
easy.
up to.
no,
it is up to
it's
Appo.
5. It's 5. We both know
It's
this
5.
one.
Yeah, we
right?
both know this
Okay,
one.
we're good.
That's guaranteed.
Okay. 5 is correct. What NBA player was drafted first overall by the Lakers in the 1958 NBA draft? Is it Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, or Gail Goodrich? I believe it's Chambers' question here.
58.
Yeah.
Number 1 overall,
Yep.
Gail Goodrich.
Gail Goodrich. Do you have a different answer, Appo?
Can you say those names again?
Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, or
I know Wilt
Gail
wasn't
Goodrich?
drafted by the Lakers.
Right, he was Philly.
Jerry West, 58 seems too old for him. You said I'll go with Elgin.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is the other one.
You said Gale?
I'll go Gale Rich, though, yeah.
It is Elgin Baylor.
Let's go. I knew it wasn't Wilt for sure. Wilt got traded there.
Wait, so you're down 2?
Down
Chamber?
2. You know what? I'm okay. He's winning this properly.
Wow, this was good. Okay, this one's easy, but we'll ask it. What Lakers player is on the NBA logo? I mean, you guys shouldn't need multiple
I know this
choice
one.
for this.
Go ahead, Appo.
I'm actually not even sure.
Oh,
okay. I'll give you the
what are the options?
multiple choice here. So the options are Elgin Baylor, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, or Jerry West. And it is Appo's turn.
I know it's not Kobe. I know
Should
it's not
be.
Magic. Right? Amen to that. It was, you said Jerry West, Elgin Baylor.
Yep.
I'll go with Elgin again. I don't think that doesn't sound right, but
Chamber.
Jerry West.
Jerry.
Yes, that is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Chamber picks up a point going into the.
I should slap myself for that.
Yeah, you need to take a lap for that one. All right. How many? Oh, this is interesting. How many retired numbers do the Lakers have?
Numbers or jerseys?
It says numbers.
Right.
So that's a good reason you asked that, I'm sure.
Because Chick's retired too.
Right, but
it's only a microphone.
How many retired numbers do the Lakers have? 12, 10, 6, or 9? And it is Chambers' turn for first guess.
So I wonder how up to date this is because we just retired 2 of Kobe's.
Well, that's why I figured you were asking jerseys or numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go. See, I thought it was 14 now.
Okay, so this was created in 2016, so
I think it's 12. I guess it's 12.
Appo, any different?
What were the answers again? I'm sorry.
12, 10, 6, or 9?
I think it's 12 too.
Okay, the answer is 9.
Ooh. Are you sure?
That's what it's
That doesn't
telling
sound
me.
right.
I
In
agree.
2016, I guess. So
we'll have to go back and take a look at the tapes.
All right, so
No harm, no foul on that one.
Chamber
Exactly.
is down 1
Yeah.
with 1 to go. So the
All right,
best
let's
you
go.
can do is tie. Here
And
we
Appo
go.
goes first on this one, yeah?
Yeah. So last question: when did the Lakers win their first NBA championship? Is it 1949, 1957, 1938, or 1950?
This one's not fair because, they were the Minneapolis Lakers at the time.
You should know this, right?
What was the answer? Sorry, I keep on asking, but the numbers keep on getting lost in my head. And then was this are you considering the NBA or when they were in the NBL?
This says, when did the Lakers win their first NBA championship?
Oh, NBA? Okay.
Yeah. Not in 49, 57, 38, or 50.
I'm going to go 49.
Chamber?
I'm going to go 50.
It is 49.
Let's go. Because I know they were in the NBL until 48.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what?
You just got skunked.
I mean, I wouldn't
It's
say
funny. It's
skunked.
funny. Everyone makes fun of Minnesota because we don't win any sports. We don't win championships. So knowing what year the Lakers won a championship was kind of an easy one.
You know what?
Yeah,
I am
Lakers
very
at the time.
proud. I'm very proud to lose to an adversary with your skill. I thought that was I've met my match.
I thought you were gonna wipe the floor when you were talking before the show. You were ultimately confident.
I think my confidence was justified.
Sure, you did well.
I feel
You
like
got
it wasn't. I
seven-
got blown
what'd you
away.
get? You got 7 out of 10, right?
And
Yeah.
if on some of those, if I would have answered first, like for instance, if on that one where you said 30, I was going to say 30 at first too.
Right.
But then you said 30 and you said it wrong. I'm like, all right, well, I'll throw on 31.
There you go. So no, I think
It's a toss.
I think that was just two juggernauts going at it, and one person had to win.
Exactly.
That was awesome.
We're all winners today.
We are
after
all
this.
Exactly. Hey, if you're Lakers, the Lakers will be back.
They
will be back.
absolutely will be back.
They will be back.
That's awesome, man. So Appo, thank you so much for joining us. We had an awesome time. Check out Ahrvo. It's a really cool project. I think it's just a really easy way to, accomplish do a lot of the work for you and make it foolproof, right? So check out Ahrvo. Again, one more time where they can find you at, Appo.
You can find the app on iOS and Android at ahrvo.com, and that's spelled AHRVO. Any information related to the ICO you can find at ahrvo.io. Follow us on Telegram at Ahrvo, and follow us on Twitter at Ahrvo app. And then you can also follow us on Facebook or like our page on Facebook at Ahrvo Investing App. And thanks, guys, for having me on. This was a blast. I had a lot of fun. Especially having another Lakers guy on the
I made my day. I made my day.
Yeah, man. Awesome. So that's it. Anything you want to add, Chamber?
No, man. Go Lakers.
Go Lakers. Let's go. 2020's are here,
right.
baby. Let's go.
All right, wait. Right before we go here, so we are in the midst of the NBA playoffs. Who do you have winning now?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. You're not even watching? Is that what's happening?
No,
You're not even watching?
100% not watching, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch until the finals. And the thing is, who has time to watch an hour, 30-minute game nowadays? Usually I just watch the 10-minute overview if it's a good game or whatever on YouTube.
Yeah.
Catch all the good points.
Cool, man. Well, that's it. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And until next time, don't get wrecked, and that is financial advice.